Hey everyone, welcome back to Mug and Mindset. I'm Sophia, and I'm so happy you're spending a little part of your day with us today.
And I'm Liam, the guy who's always trying to build better habits, and somehow always finding new ways to avoid them.
Liam, honestly, I think that's exactly why people relate to you.
Well, that's good to know. At least my bad habits are helping somebody.
There you go. In our last episode, we talked about awareness and how simply paying attention to your habits can completely change the way you see your daily life. So if anyone missed Chapter 4, make sure to check it out on our YouTube channel. It connects perfectly with today's discussion.
Yeah, and after that episode, I realized something slightly embarrassing.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
Apparently, I check my phone a lot more than I thought. Like, a lot more.
How much is a lot more?
Let's just say I thought it was maybe 20 times a day. Turns out it's closer to every time I breathe.
Okay, that's probably more common than people want to admit.
Honestly, I felt personally attacked by my own screen time report.
Well, today we're taking the next step. Because once you become aware of a habit you want to change, what happens next? How do you actually start?
Because my usual strategy is pretty simple. I tell myself, I'll start tomorrow.
Classic.
Then tomorrow arrives. And somehow tomorrow becomes Monday. Then next Monday. Then next month. Then somehow next year.
That might be the most accurate description of procrastination I've ever heard.
Thank you. Years of experience.
Well, today's chapter gives us something much better than motivation. It gives us a practical system. In fact, the strategy we're talking about today can actually double your chances of following through on a new habit.
Double? Okay, now you've got my attention. Let's get into it. Sophia, can I confess something?
Always.
Whenever I decide I want to improve my life, my first instinct is to look for motivation. I'll watch motivational videos, read inspiring quotes, listen to podcasts. Basically, I'll do everything except the actual thing I'm supposed to be doing.
That's surprisingly honest.
And unfortunately, also true.
The interesting thing is that this chapter argues that most people don't actually have a motivation problem.
Really?
Really, most people have a clarity problem.
Okay, explain that one.
Think about it. People say things like, I want to get healthier. I want to exercise more. I want to be more productive. Those sound nice, but they're vague.
Meaning they aren't specific enough?
Exactly. When will you exercise? Where will you exercise? What exactly are you going to do? Most people never answer those questions.
That's true. I usually stop at, I should probably work out more.
And then what happens?
Nothing.
Exactly. If your brain has to make a decision every single day, eventually it gets tired of making decisions.
That's actually true. Every day becomes a debate.
Right. And usually your brain wins the debate by saying, let's do it tomorrow.
My brain says that all the time.
Most brains do. That's why Chapter 5 is so powerful. It teaches us how to stop relying on motivation and start relying on systems.
I already like where this is going.
Let me tell you about a fascinating study from Great Britain in 2001. Researchers worked with 248 people who wanted to build an exercise habit.
Okay, what did they do?
The participants were divided into 3 groups. The first group simply tracked their exercise habits. The second group learned about the health benefits of exercise.
Sounds reasonable.
It does. Most people assumed the motivation group would perform much better.
That's what I would assume.
So did the researchers. But surprisingly, they didn't.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously. Both groups had nearly identical results. Only about 35 to 38% exercised consistently.
Wow, so all that motivation barely made a difference.
Exactly. But then there was a third group.
Uh-oh, I sense a plot twist.
A little bit. The third group got the same motivational information, but they also had to complete one sentence.
Just one sentence?
Just one. They wrote, "During the next week, I will exercise for 20 minutes on this day, at this time, in this location."
That's it?
That's it.
No dramatic speech? No inspirational music? No life-changing documentary?
Nope, just one simple plan.
Okay, now I'm curious. What happened?
91% of that group followed through.
Wait, 91%?
Yes, 91%.
That's insane.
More than double the success rate of the other groups.
So the difference wasn't motivation.
Exactly. The difference was clarity.
That's actually kind of mind-blowing.
Researchers call this an implementation intention. It sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. You decide in advance exactly when and where you'll perform your habit.
So instead of saying, I want to exercise more, I say, I'll walk for 20 minutes at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening in the park near my apartment.
Perfect. Your brain no longer has to make the decision later because the decision has already been made.
My brain would appreciate having less work to do.
Most brains would. Now let's talk about one of the most interesting stories in this chapter. It's about a French philosopher named Denis Diderot.
This already sounds fancy.
Just wait. For most of his life, Diderot struggled financially. Then one day, he received a large amount of money and decided to buy himself a beautiful scarlet robe.
A robe?
Yes, a robe.
That's a very specific purchase.
It is. But after he bought the robe, something strange happened. The robe looked so elegant that suddenly everything else in his home looked old and out of place.
Oh no, I know where this is heading.
He bought a new rug, then a new desk, then new furniture, then decorations. One purchase led to another.
I've done this before. I buy new shoes, and suddenly I need new socks, new clothes, and apparently a whole new personality.
Exactly. And that's what became known as the Diderot Effect.
Which means one change creates a chain reaction.
Exactly. One behavior often leads naturally to another behavior.
That's actually really powerful.
It is. And the author shows us how to use this effect to build habits through something called habit stacking.
Okay, I like the sound of that already.
Habit stacking is simple. You take a habit you already do consistently and use it as a trigger for a new habit.
So the old habit becomes a reminder.
Exactly. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
I like that because I never forget coffee.
Most people don't.
There could be a power outage. The internet could disappear. Society could collapse. Somehow I'd still find a way to make coffee.
That's probably true.
So instead of trying to remember meditation, I just remember coffee.
Exactly. The coffee becomes the cue.
That's brilliant.
And that's the real lesson of this chapter. Success isn't about having more willpower. It's about making good behaviors obvious and easy to start.
So what's the practical takeaway?
Implementation intentions. Use this formula. I will, behavior, at time, in location.
Nice and simple.
For habit stacking, use this formula. After current habit, I will, new habit.
Also nice and simple.
The simpler the system, the more likely you'll actually use it.
Which is great, because complicated plans usually last about 3 days in my life.
Again, very relatable.
I'm here to represent the people.
You certainly are. So here's the moral of Chapter 5. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop hoping inspiration will magically appear. Instead, create clarity. Give your habits a specific time and a specific place. When you make the when and the where obvious, following through becomes much easier.
That's honestly one of the most practical lessons we've covered so far.
I completely agree.
And right after this recording, I'm writing down my own habit stack.
Good. Accountability starts now.
No pressure.
A little pressure.
Before we finish, Sophia, let's quickly review a few words from today's chapter.
Sounds good.
First, what does
Formula.
it mean?
A formula is a simple method or process you can follow. In this chapter, it's the habit-building recipe.
Nice. What about vague?
Vague means not clear. For example, saying, I want to exercise more is vague because there's no specific plan.
And that brings us to implementation intention.
Exactly. It means deciding exactly when and where you'll do a habit. It turns an idea into a clear plan.
One good habit helping the next one.
That's the power of habit stacking.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Mug and Mindset.
We hope this conversation gave you a little more clarity and a little more confidence to start building the habits that matter most.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend who's been waiting for motivation to magically show up.
And remember, you don't need perfect motivation. You need a clear plan.
We'll see you next time.
Until then, stay intentional, stay consistent, and keep growing.